He's the brains behind Thunderbirds, Stingray and Captain Scarlet. And now Gerry Anderson is cutting the Captain's strings, reinventing him as a computer-generated hero. But for the new TV series, the team is carefully preserving the chiselled look and indestructible features. And he'll be contending with the deadly Mysterons and treacherous Captain Black, just as before.
I suddenly realised that I could actually now make a puppet show where the puppets were, although they looked like the real characters, they were flesh and blood. They could pick things up, they could talk in sync, they could have expressions. And so I thought maybe now's the time to remake one of the shows, and I chose Captain Scarlet.
What you're looking at is basically an animation factory. It starts way over there at the other end, where they build the models on computer, the scenery. That gets passed around. At different desks it's filled in, coloured, set in motion. So what you get at the other end are finished scenes of sometimes several minutes long that get put together afterwards in the cutting room into the episodes. The story so far is that the creators have nearly finished the first of 26 episodes of Captain Scarlet, The Return of the Mysterons, giving them something to show to TV company buyers. This is the cutting edge of animation, but Gerry claims it's turned out to be just as painstaking a process as using puppets.
The puppet film of Captain Scarlet, the series, was extremely difficult to make because the puppets really couldn't do anything. I mean, what we had to do was make it appear that they were doing things. And as you know, we would use glove hands to enter the shot to pick things up. The puppets couldn't walk. Their mouths were no more than a letterbox. And if we wanted them to change expression, we had to take the head off and put another head on with a different expression. So it was very, very slow and tedious work, but it paid off. And the new show, with animation, CGI, is very tedious work, and I'm sure it's going to pay off again.
You'd have thought that with 35 years of success with Captain Scarlet, Gerry Anderson would be able to finance the new series himself, but he lost control over the rights to his work early on.
It wasn't really a mistake. If you'd like to put a violin track up now. I came from a very poor home, I had very little education, and I went into the business. I had no business manager, and as a result, I did a lot of very, very bad deals. On the other hand, of course, if I had pushed for better deals, I may not have got the finance that I required, and perhaps the pictures would never have been made.
It was backing from the legendary movie mogul Lew Grade, which got the original Captain Scarlet off the ground.
Lew, of course, died a few years ago, but Lew was one of the most wonderful men I've met in my life. He was the nicest person to deal with. He backed me to the hilt. Just to give you an idea, when I first made Captain Scarlet, I went into his office because he asked me to go up and tell him what the next show was going to be. And I had no script, no drawings, no nothing. I just told him the idea, basically, and he asked one or two questions. And then he said, yep, okay, fine, go and make it. And that was it, you know. I mean, millions of dollars were changing hands just on a simple chat like that.
What are the lessons that you've learned?
I think the honest answer is that I haven't learnt from my mistakes. And what I mean by that is that if I had any sense, if I had a production which was relatively easy to make so that I wouldn't have too many worries and I could get home at a respectable hour, instead of saying, isn't that good? You know, I'm really going to enjoy this production because it's not too stressy. I immediately start thinking of ways I can improve it, things that I can add to it. And of course I end up in the same position as I'm, you know, always in, struggling to cope because I'm seeking perfection.
The later episodes of the new Captain Scarlet are still at the drawing up stage, ideas which will soon make their way onto the computer screens. Gerry Anderson's production company has already raised over £8 million. Now they're hoping for the same again via an enterprise investment scheme. Risk-hungry investors have to put up a minimum of £11,000 for shares, but they get a 20% tax rebate up front. Growth in the value of the investment is free of capital gains tax after 3 years, and any losses, if there are any, can be used to cut your tax bill from other income. But how big is the risk on a scale of 1 to 10?
As an investment risk, it's probably at 5, I would say, because with a project such as this, if it were not Gerry Anderson and Captain Scarlet, an established brand with some sort of base audience, you're effectively saying, hey guys, I've got a great idea, send me a cheque.
You've set the minimum amount that can be put in at £11,000. A lot of Captain Scarlet enthusiasts might be willing to put up, say, several hundred, but not that much. So why?
They were confident enough, I suppose what it boils down to raise bigger-ish chunks from relatively fewer people. Which to date has proved the case. I mean, that's the good thing about it, but yeah, I agree, for someone who just wants to put a couple of grand in, they'd have to find a few friends and
band together to do it.
Yeah, give it themselves one name and have a go.
Over the years, the Captain Scarlet characters and hardware have proved themselves as money spinners in the shops, and there's plenty still on sale from the original series. Similar spin-offs are crucial to the reborn Scarlet's battle plan.
It will be, potentially, and should be the largest single revenue source.
Okay, Captain Scarlet, it's either going to be you or me.
There's no Lou Grade to stand behind the production this time, and the new computer animated series hasn't been sold anywhere yet.
The potential buyers are convinced, and as a matter of fact, we have a lot of offers already on the table. In fact, a great many offers already on the table. However, then comes the point where you have to strike a deal. And I want them to see the first picture before we start talking about money. You might be wondering, well, how is it I'm so sure? You have to remember that almost daily people are coming into this studio and looking around. And I know that they're all gobsmacked with what they see.
It's a brave venture, the biggest money-raising exercise of this type for TV. For enthusiasts, it'll seem like Captain Scarlet coming back to life.